All right. Sorry for the technical delay. So, what were we talking about last week? Let's kind of do a little review.
Respecting parents, animals, and
Yeah, yeah.
like
So
pets.
yeah, how did we say is like a good way to, show respect for parents, for example?
Like if they tell you to do something like bad, you just like don't disrespect them, but like tell them that's wrong.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah. Go
maybe
ahead,
also
Arman.
help them
Helping
if
them.
they need it.
Yeah. Um. A lot of times, like parents. So it depends. It depends how every family is different, right? In some families, like the mother does all the chores at home, and in some families, the parents don't do anything. They have the kids do everything. And in some families, um, especially back home, like it started. It's more recent, but they have a lot of maids. I don't know. Have you guys seen that? If you guys been to India or Pakistan,
Went to India before. I saw.
you saw that? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
mate.
visited. Yeah, I visited India a long time ago. I visited Pakistan recently, and they had maids to do like everything. They had maids to cook, clean, iron your clothes. They have drivers. So, in that sense, like your parents have everything done. Like you don't really need to do much. You can help your parents in other ways. But over here, it's interesting because in America, like everyone wants to move to America because life is, life. It seems like life is so much better, easier, and there are definitely things which are easier. But having like maids or cleaners or cooks, it becomes very expensive. Over there, it's really cheap. Over here, it's really expensive. So, the mother will do the cooking. She'll be usually in charge of the cleaning unless she tells people. I'm not saying like what's ideal. I'm saying what's the reality. That's usually what you see in our families. Um, so then obviously to help do the dishes, to help mow the lawn, to help do your own laundry, to help all these things they add up. Because imagine one person doing the work for five people as opposed to five people doing the work of one person, meaning their own selves. It makes sense, right? What do you guys think? You guys have anything to add? Yeah, so like Arhan said, helping goes a long way. Like just helping your parents do these small things, so much dua comes from them. And like we know, um the duas that parents do for the kids, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts them. And also there's benefits that we get in this world that are not um so obviously we do things for reward in this world or the hereafter. Which one is it?
In this world.
In this world? Well, what if someone does so many good things but they don't get anything here?
Mm. Oh, and in the afterworld.
The afterlife, yeah. So, that's what we see. Sometimes you have a really good person, very nice, very caring, he does everything, but he still kind of has a little bit difficult life, right? Maybe he's not too wealthy, or family, the family, he doesn't have family, etc. And then on the other side, um you see people who are either not Muslim. I mean, we're living in America, right? We see so many like super rich non-Muslims, or if you watch like YouTube, you see like all these super rich YouTubers who are making like millions just playing video games or making funny videos. And you're thinking like, well, this person is not even Muslim. Or sometimes there's bad people, and you're like, these people are not even good people, but they have so much good stuff in this world. So we should remember that we don't get our rewards in this life, and we also don't get punishments in this life. But at the same time, you'll see an effect of your actions. So let me give you guys an example. Like reading Quran, right? For every letter that you recite Quran, you get 10 good deeds called hasanat in Arabic. You get 10 good deeds. And for example, if you walk to the masjid after making wudu, then every step you take, you get a good deed, and every step you take with your right foot, you get a good deed, and then every step you take with your left foot, you get one sin forgiven. So those are all to do with the afterlife, right? But at the same time, the more good you do in this world, you'll have some effect of it, a positive effect. And then some bad that you do in this world, you'll have a negative effect. Okay? For example, let me give you an example. If a person treats their parents well in this world, then obviously they'll get rewarded in Jannah, inshallah. They'll get rewarded after they pass away in their grave. But also, maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show them a benefit of that, which is they'll have obedient children, or they'll have children that listen to them. And the opposite, someone is very disrespectful to their parents, treats them poorly, then obviously they get sin and they could potentially get punished in the hereafter. We ask for forgiveness. But even while they're living, Allah can give them a negative effect of that action, meaning when they get older, then their children disobey them, or their children don't listen to them or disrespect them, etc. Are you guys following along? Do you guys understand or have any questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
I understand.
Yeah.
So, and I know you guys are young, so it's kind of hard to think about when you're gonna be a dad, right? But it's really important to have that mindset from now, that I want to treat my parents well, so that when I'm older and when I'm a parent, then my children will take care of me, or my children will listen to me and be good kids, as opposed to if someone is disrespectful to the parents right now, then when they grow up, it's really possible that their own children will do the same to them. Okay, so you get rewards after you pass away in Jannah, inshallah, but you also can get like a benefit, like blessings. You can get a benefit in this world. Another example, if someone someone does earns halal income. What that means is they have a job which is a good job, and they earn money through a halal way. So then Allah will put barakah, meaning He'll put blessings in that money, so that that person will be able to perhaps afford things, or be able to support other people, etc. But on the flip side, maybe someone earns a lot of money, but they do something haram, right? Maybe they earn a lot of money through selling, unfortunately it's so common, but selling drugs and stuff like that. Or they earn a lot of money by tricking people and stealing stuff and selling it. All these different tricks. So they're earning a lot of money, right? But at the same time, they are, there's no blessing in that money. Allah doesn't put blessing in it. So what does that money come with? That money comes with maybe it'll lead to a person having a lot of trouble with their car, a lot of trouble with their home, a lot of trouble with etc. So this is how your actions in this life will have effect in this life as well, and on top of that you'll have reward in the akhirah, or they can have a punishment, and we ask Allah to forgive us. Okay. All right, so that's kind of like about parents. An extension of parents is, let's see, we go back to the slides. Okay, so we talk about parents, family, right? We're going to talk about family in a bit. Friends, other Muslims, non-Muslims, and even like animals, and even further than animals, even things like inanimate objects like trees, or like just keeping the environment good, etc. So before we talk about like family and friends, let's talk about elders, because it's kind of like parents. Parents are elders, and then you have just the normal like the average, let's say like your uncles and aunts, mamus, chachus, khalas, etc. And then also like other elders that you see in the masjid, for example, or anywhere. Um, so how to treat them? So there was one time where the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was sitting kind almost like a circle, and there was some food. Okay, and we all know it's good to do things on the right side. So the Prophet ﷺ, there was um, there was a child on his right side, a young boy, and on his other side there was elders. So the Prophet ﷺ asked the boy, can I skip you and give to the elders first? So that was a sign of like respect. But since the boy was on his right side, he still wanted to seek. He wanted to ask him because the better thing to do, or you'd say generally, it's better to go on the right side. You pass like the food or whatever to the right side. So Prophet ﷺ was going to do that, but then he asked him, "Is it okay if I give to the elders first?" So that shows, that there's a sort of respect that you show the elders. Interestingly, in this story, the boy, the boy actually, because he was so like eager to get something from the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "No, I want it first." So that's what the boy said. But that's different because that's involving the Prophet ﷺ. The take-home message from here is to treat elders differently than how you would treat someone your own age. And this kind of common sense. But unfortunately, maybe as you guys see, nowadays people don't have as much respect for elders or as much respect for teachers in school. What do you guys think? In your guys' school, how do your classmates or like other people treat the teachers? Do you feel like they are treated with respect, or there should be more respect?
Maybe some with respect and some with disrespect.
So what
Like,
are some examples? Yeah, go ahead.
some examples like maybe don't listen to the teacher talking when the teacher's talking, and like not participating, or not learning really.
Yeah. See, and what's the bad part about that? That it affects everyone else, right? It affects
Yeah,
it affects the other students who are trying to learn. It affects the teacher's mood, you know. Um,
yeah,
and also it itself it's not a good thing to do, right?
yeah,
Um, it's your parents could probably tell you if they went to school in India or Pakistan or Egypt or other Arab lands, how much respect teachers were shown. Um, Sometimes, like when the teacher walked into the class, the students would stand up and they would greet the teacher, and they would not speak unless the teacher gave permission. If they like were giggling or laughing or talking during the class, then they would either have to stand up or there would be like consequences. And like no disrespect was tolerated. And then people would also like make sure the teacher's desk was everything was straight, there's no like mess, the teacher's chair was fine, etc. Nowadays if someone does that kind of stuff, then you would think, oh, this guy's being a teacher's pet, right? People think that's way too much. Like, why are you trying to, they would say like, why are you trying to suck up to the teacher? But that's just normal respect, number one to an elder, and number two to a teacher. And it's interesting because a lot of our teachers sometimes are non-Muslim, right? Like for like math, science, etc. Usually only sometimes some people are taught math, science, English, etc. with Muslim teachers, but many of us are only taught like Quran and Islamic things with the Muslim teacher, and then other things from a non-Muslim teacher. So just because someone is not a Muslim doesn't mean you don't, show some sort of respect to the fact that they're teaching you something, right? That's something important. some people, I heard some people say this, that, oh, this person's a non-Muslim, it doesn't matter, I don't have to show respect. No, you still have to show a proper respect because you're learning something, right? And this is just kind of like a side point, but math, and language and science, they they they're important to learn, but they're not like separate than um what my point is, that we kind of differentiate between un-Islamic things and Islamic things when we come to learn, right? But math is very important. So many things you won't be able to in Islam, you won't be able to implement if you don't learn math, right? Zakat, how can you calculate your zakat if you don't know math and percentages? How can you calculate inheritance? When a person passes away and they have X amount of money, and now that money is going to go to their children and their family, so you have to calculate that. And sometimes it's actually the laws of inheritance can be really complicated, and you have to learn math. And now, like, in order for me to teach you this class, I have to learn basic things about online environment. I have to learn how to use PowerPoint, for example. I have to learn how to be able to speak English at a level where I can communicate my ideas properly. So you have to learn all these things, even for the sake of Islam. So we should never look down on those things or those teachers, because everything comes from Allah. Math comes from Allah. The study of medicine, it's also something that's praised. So all these things we should keep in mind. We don't make a differentiation. Now, obviously, if you have a Muslim teacher teaching you Quran, teaching you Hadith, there's a different level of respect, a higher level of respect. That's because you're dealing with the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're dealing with the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, so that was a good point. And the idea, again, being a good Muslim, you also it should lead to being a good person. So that means if we have a good a community of Muslims, then we're making a good community of people, right? Imagine these Islamic teachings of respecting your elders, respecting your parents, respecting your teachers, respecting your classmates and your friends and your brothers and sisters. Non-Muslims, if they did the same thing, then the whole community would benefit. So that's what our goal is. How can we improve our community? And first, how can we improve ourselves and our family? Okay, so yeah, I think it's really sad that people have lost this respect for teachers. So I'm not. There's a bunch of factors which cause that, but I think if we can at least learn that level of respect and not get influenced, because let me tell you, sometimes what happens. Sometimes you'll have like a good kid go to class, and then he just sees all the other students messing with the teacher, bothering them, whatever. So then he starts doing the same. I don't know if you guys ever saw that happen, but I've seen it happen. That everyone else is messing with the teacher and maybe making fun of or whatever. I've seen this. And then this other student who's like completely innocent and is a good kid, he gets influenced by the other classmates and joins in. And this also happens in like bullying, for example. Someone who's not a bully, they see some kid getting bullied, and then what do? Sometimes they just join in so that they can fit in with the cool kids. So try not to go with the flow in that aspect, right? Try not to just follow whatever everyone else is doing. You should follow what is right. So that's what we're here for. We're learning what is right, and that's what we're going to follow, whether the entire class does it or whether the entire class doesn't do it. Okay? Let me guys tell you one hadith. The Prophet ﷺ had said, he is not one of us who is not merciful, meaning compassionate and kind, to those who are young, and does not respect and honor the elders. Okay, so let me tell you what this is talking about. The Prophet ﷺ said that the one who doesn't respect the elders is not from us. And he said, the one who doesn't show kindness and compassion and mercy to those who are younger is not from us. So this is a really severe thing. Imagine the Prophet ﷺ saying that you're not from me, you're not from us. That's a really, scary thing. So this is both ways. We have balance in Islam. So right now I'm talking about us respecting elders, but I'm also going to talk about the other way of how elders should treat those who are younger, how parents should treat children. Okay, so we gave a bunch of good examples how we can respect elders. Nowadays, especially in America and in this generation, we kind of lost the culture of respect. It might still be there, but to the level of before, definitely not. Like, let me give you an example. If you're just at some dawat, right, and you're sitting around, and then an elder walks in, then it would be good for you to get up and meet them, for you to get up and greet them, to say salam. Also, let's say you're sitting, everyone's sitting, and all the seats are full. For example, you're sitting in a living room, all the couches are full, and an elder walks in. A lot of times, what younger, either kids or younger people, they would do is they would get up and let the elder person sit down. And they kind of have this rule in like buses. I don't really travel through bus, but they, people who are like elderly or sick, or women who are pregnant, then they would let them sit down. So even for an elder, get up and give them your spot. That's something that is a sign of respect and care for your elder. Okay. Do you guys have any thoughts or anything you guys want to add or any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So before I move on to the next topic, I want to ask you guys that what are ways you think, the Muslim and non-Muslim, maybe like your guys' age, maybe like teenagers or a little bit younger, a little bit older. What are ways you think they can improve in this aspect of respecting elders? How about let's start with Huzaifa. Huzaifa, are you there?
I am here.
Yeah. Were you able to hear the question?
Wait, what was the question again? I probably glitched like in the middle.
Okay, yeah. The question was, what is like one way you think you really think that like teenagers and other kids your age can improve in this idea of respecting elders? Like what can they do better?
Like be like more attentive, and like whenever like an elder comes, like help them, like if they need help.
Yeah, I think that's really good, And by elder, it doesn't even necessarily have to be like a grandparent, right? Or like someone who was difficult to, who maybe it's hard for them to walk and difficult. Definitely, definitely you should help them. But even someone who's just older and they can do things themselves, and they're healthy, etc. Even to help them out of respect for them being, elder, that would be a great thing. Zain, uh, what do you have to add? Um, Zain, could you hear me? Okay, maybe not yet. How about Arhan?
Yeah, so maybe you can like um encourage like teenagers to like reflect on their relationships, maybe.
Yeah. Reflect on relationships. So, could you elaborate on that a bit?
Or if they want to if they want to like hmm, I just don't know like a good way to say it.
Yeah, okay. I think I know what you're talking about. Um, you said reflect on the relationship.
Yeah,
Okay. Um, maybe do you mean like the relationship with elders?
yeah, like kind of same.
Okay. Yeah, I think I might know what you're saying. Um, I think an extension of what you're saying could also be to kind of acknowledge that the elders are, you know, they've gone through experiences and they learned a lot throughout the years. Um, like if you talk to like a person who's been in like war or battle or who's just been through like so many tough times, and you sit down and talk to them, they'll give you all kinds of wisdom. They'll talk about like different mistakes they've made in their life. They'll talk about, how you can avoid those mistakes. They'll give you amazing advice. So that's kind of the reason why we have that respect and uh, care for elders, because they learn more and they have more wisdom and they can guide us. Because when we're young, we don't really know. We don't have experience. We don't know what we're doing. We just kind of go based on how we feel instead of what's logically the better thing. So yeah, these are good. These are good. Now now we're gonna switch it. We're gonna flip it, and now we're gonna talk about how elders can, you know, how they're supposed to treat. It's almost like we're saying how are elders supposed to treat us. So now it might sound like kind of selfish, but we need a balance, right? What is acceptable behavior of both sides, and what is unacceptable behavior, right? So again, it might seem kind of strange to talk about this, but it's important because the hadith is balanced. The hadith says that the one who is not respectful to the elders is not from us, and on the other side he says that the one who is not kind and compassionate to those who are younger is not from us. Okay, so let's talk about this. What do you guys think this means, and what are examples? Um, let's start with Arhan.
Not really here.
Well, okay, let me make it a little more specific. What are ways you think that elders, what are specific things that you think elders should not do to those who are younger, or parents should not do to their children? Any, Arhan, any ideas?
Maybe they can like manage their household well, like without usually the, the children.
Yeah, could you repeat the last part again?
Um, they can like manage their household with dignity, keeping their children submissive.
Keeping the children. Yeah. Um, so basically, in a way that is kind and compassionate to the children, right? So let's say like treating the kids fair, treating their kids fairly, right? They they should not, um, be for no reason. Obviously, sometimes a parent will get upset at one child, so they'll be upset at that one child for doing something specific, and the other kids didn't do that thing, so they won't be upset. That's obvious. But I'm talking about like for no reason. If a parent, just is overly nice to certain children and not nice to the others, that's something that is not correct. Also, sometimes elders could just be too mean to kids, right? Or maybe they just don't show them enough love. For example, let me give you this example. The Prophet Muhammad SAW one time was, I think he kissed his grandson, So he was like, this is like a natural thing that you do. A grandparent is up, gonna pick up the young grandchild and show them love, kiss them. And one companion saw the Prophet ﷺ do that, and he was kind of like, um, he was kind of shocked or surprised, because in his mind, you have this kind of like macho man idea, where no, I don't kiss my kids, or I don't say things like I love you to them. They kind of act like too macho, like that just seems like weak or something. So he told the Prophet ﷺ that I have 10 kids and I've never kissed any one of them. He told the Prophet ﷺ, I have 10 kids and I've never kissed a single one of them. So the Prophet ﷺ, he replied with something similar to this hadith, that the one who doesn't show kindness and compassion and mercy, they will not be shown kindness and compassion, meaning by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you want to show kindness to, if you want Allah to show you kindness and for Him to show you mercy and compassion, then you should show other people, kindness, etc. That's how it works. What comes around goes around, right? Like we said, the things that you do in this life, they have an effect in this life, and then you also have the reward in the akhirah, the reward or punishment in the akhirah, right? So again, parents and elders trying to balance their authority over, for example, their kids, right? So parents can do whatever they want with their kids. They have the authority, meaning they send them to whichever school they want. They can move them to wherever they want. They can, give them whatever they want, take away whatever they want. So they have so much power. Now, when you have a lot of power, you have to be careful not to treat anyone unfairly, not to treat anyone wrongly, etc. So that's like the opposite. So for kids, you show the respect to the parents, and for parents and elders, they show kindness to the kids and fairness, etc. Okay, so that was a good example, like how to manage the household in a kind and in a kind way that's beneficial. Huzaifa,
Yeah.
yeah, why don't you think of something that you can add to that?
Can you give me the question again?
Yeah, the question is, like, how can elders show that sort of kindness to people who are younger, or how can parents show that to the children, or how should they?
Like parents showing kindness to children.
Yeah, for example.
Yeah.
Or what would be an example of them not doing so?
What?
What would be an example of them, like treating the children wrong, for example?
Like probably like not taking care of them properly.
Okay, yeah, there's definitely, like I said, the parents have a responsibility. They have a lot of power over the children, right? Especially when the children are very young. But even throughout like the teenage, parents have a lot of power. The parents are the ones who like earn, the livelihood, so they give to the children. So with power comes responsibility. That's kind of what comes to mind with elders, that the Prophet ﷺ is emphasizing that parents and elders, you have authority and power over those who are younger than you, so treat them kindly. Okay? And for the youngers, he's saying, oh, people who are young, your parents and elders, they have authority over you, so respect them. See how it goes? Right? The people who are young, you tell them, hey, people are older than you and your parents, they have authority over you, right? They have power over you, they have responsibilities for you, so show them some respect. The teacher has a responsibility of teaching you, so show them some respect. And the other way, hey, teachers, parents, elders, these young people, you have power over them. You have authority over them, so be kind to them. Don't be unfair. don't be overly mean, etc. So some of these things may not be so you know astonishing to us, because maybe, alhamdulillah, we come from a family where the parents are respected, and they taught us to respect our teachers and elders in the ways I've mentioned, or the parents themselves are very kind and fair to the children. So alhamdulillah, that would be a great thing. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. That's not always the case that a household or family has parents that show that that amount of care and love to the children, and you don't always have households where the children respect the parents as they should, or classrooms where the teacher is respected, etc. So we're talking about the ideal. What's the ideal? It's mutual respect. Parents show a sign of respect and care and kindness, and the young people do the same thing. So I think that this is something that is lacking among most families. You know, um, if we kind of look at just the non-Muslim families who have been in America for like maybe hundreds of years, most of our families have only been here for like 50, maybe 50 years, um, roughly. But other families who have been in America for like 100 or even 200 years, they kind of lost that culture even quicker than we may have. So our idea is, let's try to bring that culture of respect back, the culture of watching how we treat other people. All right. Oh yeah, I remember, like, since we were talking about like classrooms and the respect of teachers, when I was in Hifz, when I was memorizing the Quran, um, before the teacher came, so we would all come to class before the teacher came. That was like one thing really important, that out of respect, you don't come in late after the teacher. You come to class before the teacher. And then some students, like, I don't know if you guys have been to those kind of Quran classes where the teacher will sit on the floor and they have like a pillow in the back. One of the students, they would take the pillow and they would like fluff it out, make it even and comfortable. They would make the desk like straight, and some people would bring like water, etc., for the teacher. So again, that's not being like a teacher's pet. That was just normal. Everyone was like, this is something that should be done. This is like the basics of showing respect to the teacher. So I just wanted to add that there. Um, so what are the categories we had? We had parents, family, friends, other Muslims, non-Muslims, animals. So we kind of just talked about other Muslims, right? And we kind of also talked about non-Muslims when we talk about teachers. Um, let's talk about friends. So we'll go to family in a bit. Let's talk about friends, meaning not just friends but peers, maybe classmates, people around your age, doing the same sort of activities. Uh, it's pretty crazy with like cyberbullying nowadays. How many things, how easy it is to insult someone. Like back before the internet, you can only insult someone to their face, right? Some no one's gonna write a letter and send it to the mail to insult them. Maybe some people, but if you're gonna insult someone, you insult them to their face. And what happens? That's scary. Saying something to someone's face is scary because that could lead to a bigger fight. But nowadays, you just have text. You say whatever you want in text. You say whatever you want through, Snapchat or Instagram DMs or whatever. And the person can say whatever you want, and then you're just kind of safe behind your keyboard, safe behind your phone. Or even, you guys probably know about this, like video games. The guys who play Call of Duty, and they like smack talk to each other, and they say all kinds of things. Well, yeah, you're gonna say that because you're behind a monitor or you're behind a TV, and you could say whatever you want, and you're not afraid of anyone trying to beat you up or whatever. But even in those cases where we're not afraid to, say those things, we should be careful. And this, let me go back to like the classroom example. For example, how are people of the same age supposed to treat each other? Because we talked about how you're supposed to treat your elders, and we talked about how you treat people who are younger than you. But how do you treat people who are the same age or the same level, for example? Let me give you guys this one example, and then I'll open the floor for some maybe questions, comments, some discussions. Um, I think this is really amazing. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that if there's a group of three people, there's a group of three people. So imagine like you and like two other people, and you're having a conversation with one person, okay? And you kind of you're not really talking to the third person. You're talking to that person, and then that person is talking to you. So you guys are having a good conversation, and the other person is there with you guys, but no one's really like talking to them. They kind of feel left out. So the Prophet ﷺ said you shouldn't do that, because that person is gonna feel left out. That person is, the feelings may be hurt. They're going to feel awkward, shy, etc. So this is not just any normal person. This is the Prophet ﷺ, who was sent as a messenger from Allah, is telling us that don't make anyone feel left out in a conversation. I think that's really amazing how careful he was about people's feelings, right? So you shouldn't hurt someone's feelings even that much, where you make them feel left out by not talking to them. So what does that say about like insulting people or bullying people? So that's completely un-Islamic. That's just gonna cause an environment of people being very, insecure about themselves, people not having friends, people feeling lonely and depressed. So that's what kind of environment comes from treating people poorly. So after having said that, what are ways you think that our generation really needs to improve on in dealing with each other, right? Like classmates dealing with each other. What's something that you guys see? Because I haven't been to high school and etc. in so long, so I don't really know exactly how it is. You guys would know better, so that's why let's hear some of your suggestions. Does anyone have a suggestion? What would be a way that they should really improve, or we should improve in
Like
treating
the
each other?
not the use of not using bad words.
Yeah, and I was gonna mention that it's so important that you know it really comes from a couple things. Using bad words, it really comes from either being around people who use that, or being watching, like TV, watching videos, or playing video games in which people use those bad language. So the more you hear something, the more, the easier it becomes to repeat those things. So that's why you'll see, and it's really funny, but it's kind of bad at the same time, that little kids like 2, 3 years old, if their parents swear a lot, if their parents like say bad words, then like no doubt that little baby is going to start like cussing. It just happens. It's natural. If a person hears and is around that, that's what's gonna happen. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ said you should be careful about who your friends are. Number one, and number two, to have good company. So if you want to not develop that habit, or if you have that habit and you want to break it, one thing is to not be by those people who talk very inappropriately, very abusively, and use those language. We use our mouth and our tongue and our speech to read the Quran, to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We use it to do dhikr, to take the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the name of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we shouldn't spoil our mouth by using swear words, etc. So, and let me tell you, that once you get the habit of using swear words and bad words, then it's really hard to get out. Number one. Number two, you'll just start saying them for no reason. You'll just, you know, you'll just wake up, and instead of the first thing you saying is, um, uh, the dua, the first thing you'll say is a swear word. That happens. Some people do that. As soon as they wake up, oh, they'll say all kinds of swear words. And then when they go to sleep, they'll say it. Or whenever they meet someone, I don't know if you guys have seen those people. They meet someone and they're like, "Hey man," and then like how, and then how the beep beep beep. They'll say all those things. It's funny, but it's bad because they're just so used to speaking like that. But let me tell you guys that what we say, like the bad effect of these words is like the angels, they smell a really bad scent from it, and they want to run away from you. If someone uses a lot of bad words, it causes like a bad scent that maybe people can't smell it, but the angels can smell it and they'll just go away from you. And if angels are running away from you, that's a really bad sign. You want angels to be by you so that they can protect you. They can protect you from shaitan. They actually, angels even protect you from like harm and danger. Angels protect you from like car accidents, and they protect you from tripping, etc. So you want angels by you. You don't want to repel and drive away the angels by you know just by something small like saying words that you think are funny. um, so that's a good point. It's really important, you know and it makes you feel uncomfortable when people just swear for no reason. It's not something that you should do. Arhan, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
if
go.
you say like cuss, it's haram.
Sorry.
If you say bad words or cuss, it's haram in Muslims.
Yeah, it's not something we're supposed to be doing. And especially, I mean, it's like shocking to me, but unfortunately it happens that people use those kind of language to the parents. Like I don't understand how people could do that, but it's gotten that bad, I think, that people don't really care what they do, what they say, how they treat other people. That even nowadays people are, swearing at their own parents. Um, so it's really, I think it's really unfortunate. And if there can be some people who are, careful about these things and actually care about these things, like us, inshallah, then we'll spread that. And then our families, will encourage our families, hey, please don't speak like that. Or, our kids. I remember my mom, when we were kids, we were not even allowed to call each other dumb. Like it was almost like a swear word. Don't call each other dumb. We couldn't even say stupid. If we said the word stupid, then it was over. So like being really particular and not using bad words. Even sometimes people don't even use it to insult others. They just use it to sound funny, to make a joke. For some reason, sometimes swear words are funny, but you can be funny without being inappropriate. Um, yeah, I think these are some really important things. Again, right now I'm just giving you guys basic things. Most of this, like you guys are giving the examples. Most of this you guys know, but the idea is these are the ideals. This is how a Muslim community should be. Muslim community should be very respectful, very careful of what we say. We should not harm people. We should be very concerned with people's feelings. Elders should be very careful about how they treat people who are younger. Should not be mean. Sometimes elders can be like that. They become really mean to younger people, and vice versa. The younger people should be respectful to the elders, even if an elder is being very, problematic or very just not nice, etc. Then our job as those who are younger is to respectfully, deal with them. And the last thing I want to tell you is we don't treat people based on how they act. We treat people based on our own principles. And the best example for that is the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who people would, say all kinds of nasty things to him. People would physically, hurt him. People would say very mean, very, very abusive things to him. And technically, it would be equal, you could say, it would be fair to treat them like that, right? If someone swears at you, like, oh, it's only fair that I swear at them back. Or someone, treats you very badly, or they use abusive language to you, like, oh, it's fair if I do it back to them. Yeah, that's fair. But what's better is that you treat other people based on your own principles. That what's according to the Sunnah, what's according to what's a respectful way. So don't ruin our, you could say, don't ruin our image or our own characters and manners based on other people. And you guys will see this, especially when you get older, when when you're working, or even when you're like on the road driving, you have all kinds of people who want to argue for no reason. So don't argue just because someone's arguing with you. We should always be calm and cool, not easily angered, and not treat people based on how they're acting. Just like if a kid, right? Imagine like a little baby is crying, then we're not gonna start crying. We're adults. We're going to treat them like adults. We're not going to just start crying because a little baby's crying. Same thing like that. Okay. So again, these two classes have just been really basic, really introductory. Starting next week, we're gonna be a little more intense. There'll be some, inshallah, beneficial points and discussions I'm gonna have us all do. Okay. You guys have any questions? Okay, if there's no questions, I will. Sorry, what was that? Yeah, if there's no questions, then I'll see you guys. See you guys in the next class. Okay, take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.